see you here. Thanks for coming to see us. How are we doing?
Good.
There he is! Look at that!
Who was the inspiration for The Changeling? Clint Eastwood directed, produced, and composed the score for the 2008 American mystery crime drama film Changeling, which was written by J. Michael Straczynski. The murders that took place at Neuraloma, California's Wenville chicken coop, in 1928 served as the story's primary source material. The new fantasy drama, The Changeling, is available on Apple TV+. Recently, viewers appear to be becoming more interested in the program. The horror fantasy television series, The Changeling, is scheduled to premiere this fall and is based on the best-selling book of the same name from 2017. The series, which is set in a different version of New York City, is focused on the mystical adventure of Apollo Kagwa, a newlywed father whose life is turned upside down when his wife vanishes. The Changeling, which promises horror, magic, mystery, and everything in between, is probably going to land on Apple TV+'s list of the top shows of 2023. Even though Season 1 of The Changeling has just begun, fans are already interested in the idea of a second season. The Changeling Season 1's first 3 episodes debuted, and since then, both fans and critics have been raving about the show. The Changeling has not yet received an official confirmation from Apple TV that a second season has been ordered. The first season of The Changeling has only recently begun, so Apple TV Plus is most likely waiting for all of the episodes to be released, reviewed, and rated, as well as to check the overall viewership of the first season, before making the decision to pick up the horror fantasy show for a second run on the streaming service. The plot of The Changeling centers on a guy who searches for his wife after she performs a terrible act soon after giving birth to their first child. In addition to others, the cast of The Changeling includes Lakeith Stanfield as Apollo Kagwa, Clark Backo as Emmy Valentine, Adina Porter as Lillian Kagwa, Jared Abrahamson as Brian West, Samuel T. Herring as William Wheeler, Alexis Louder as young Lillian Kagwa, and Mika Legato as Carlotta, and Alina Hurst as Irina. Kelly Marcel, who is well known for her work on the Venom movies produced by Sony Pictures, is the author of The Changeling. There is currently no information about when The Changeling Season 2 will be available on Apple TV+. The Changeling's official synopsis is as follows. Apollo and Emma's love story is a fairy tale until Emma mysteriously vanishes. Bereft, Apollo finds himself on a death-defying odyssey through a New York City he didn't know existed. The Changeling, an adaptation based on a book by Victor Lavelle, is about Apollo Kagwa, Lakeith Stanfield, the proprietor of a second-hand store, and his wife Emma, Clark Backo, who is expecting their first child. Emma is persuaded by a fictitious witch that if she takes off a band from her wrist, her wishes will come true. Apollo and Emma both dismiss it, believing it to be a prank. Apollo, on the other hand, finds himself on a weird quest in an alternate New York City full of dark variations on traditional fairy tales after an odd incident involving Emma following the birth of their child. As the series goes on, more odd plot lines are promised to be revealed. Anxious to see. On Friday, September 8, the first 3 episodes of the show were released on Apple TV+. Each week after that, a brand new episode will be released. There will be 8 episodes this season, and fresh ones will air every Friday at 3:01 a.m. ET. On October 13, the season will come to a close, so it's appropriate that The Changeling, a dark horror narrative, will come to an end on Friday the 13th, adding to Apple TV+'s library of genre shows. While some have criticized the horror fantasy for having what they believe to be unnecessarily intricate and drawn-out plotlines, Jonathan Van Tulliken says the series is deliberately unconventional. The Changeling, a new fantasy series on Apple TV+, has been dubbed mediocre at its worst and the most original fantasy show of 2023 at its finest. Both evaluations are acceptable to director and executive producer Jonathan Van Tulliken. Writer and executive producer Kelly Marcel dubbed the television version of Victor Lavalle's best-selling novel of the same name from 2017 a fairy tale for grown-ups. The primary characters, Apollo and Emma, played by Lakeith Stanfield and Clark Backo, experienced terrifying events shortly after the birth of their son Brian. What follows is an odyssey that explores the dangers of parenting, ideas of fate and generational curses, and the question of whether any amount of nurturing can undo what has already been set in motion in nature using European mythology, transcontinental African folklore, American ideologies, and religious dogma. The best horror, and to be honest, fairy tales can deal with really deep subjects, and Kelly wanted to write something that was both tough and evocative. Stories are meant to help us connect with actual trauma and suffering. According to Van Tulliken, she wanted to accomplish that in a way that respected the book. Victor is fantastic at using the genre to smuggle huge, as well as personal and emotive, concepts to catch readers and make them ponder. The novel is a very clever piece of writing. Many viewers will undoubtedly find the concept of using lore in horror fantasy to comment on postpartum realities and what happens when women are compelled to return to the workforce too soon after giving birth uncomfortable, says Van Tulliken, who calls the series deliberately unconventional. However, in his opinion, the success of its execution is more about the manner in which the series is approached than it is about viewers quickly understanding all of the compound themes included in its 8 episodes in Season 1. Apple TV Plus has received recognition in recent years for its compelling and innovative television programming. The sci-fi dystopia Silo, starring Rebecca Ferguson, and the thriller Hijack, starring Idris Elba, are among 2023's best films. The monthly minimum for plans is $6.99. On August 8, 2023, Apple TV posted a trailer for The Changeling on their official YouTube page. The trailer gives us a quick glimpse into the beginning of Apollo and Emmy's romance, as well as a bizarre event that a young Emmy had while traveling in Brazil. We speculate that this meeting was cursed. Emmy responds to Apollo's frequent requests for a date by explaining that she will soon be moving to Brazil, and that this is why she continues declining him out of nervousness and love. As Emmy wanders through the Brazilian forest, she comes upon an elderly woman beside a lagoon. Emmy approaches the elderly woman despite being advised to stay away from the location, who wraps a red ribbon around her wrist and tells her she has 3 wishes. She warns Emmy not to ever cut the string because when it falls off, her desires will come true. Apollo cuts the rope from Emmy's wrist in a love gesture that turns out to be disastrous after they later rejoin in New York and start dating. Additionally, we watch as Apollo and Emmy form a family with their newborn and things start to go south. The pair experiences strange happenings after the birth of their child, and when Emmy vanishes, Apollo must accept that evil magic is at work as he embarks on his epic quest. Lakeith Stanfield plays Apollo in The Changeling, along with Clark Bacco as his wife Emmy, Adina Porter, and Alexis Louder as Apollo's parents Lillian, and Samuel T. Herring as William Wheeler, a character Apollo befriends while on his quest. They are joined by Amara Van as Kim, Emmy's sister. The Changeling is the most recent addition to Apple TV Plus' extensive library of book-to-screen adaptations. The Changeling appears to be a faithful adaptation of its original material, a 2017 fantasy horror novel by award-winning novelist Victor LaValle of the same name. LaValle's novel, The Changeling, was well received by critics. It was ranked among the top 10 books of 2017 by the New York Public Library and won the World Fantasy Award for Best Novel, the Locus Award for Horror Novel, and the British Fantasy Award for Horror Novel. That's all for today. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Also, express your valuable thoughts in the comments section below. Until then, bye. Also, spend some time watching other videos on the channel.